Hey, Super Cruisers, it's Frank and Kevin from Cruising with Wheels.
You know, a lot of people wonder how they put together these massive, beautiful cruise ships, and today we're taking a look at that.
I read that a cruise ship can take anywhere from 2 to 4 years to build. And I'm telling you, it's hard to believe because they seem to be cranking them out. Like every other day, there's a new ship coming.
Now, in South Korea, they have the largest shipbuilding country in the world with a 40 market share in new orders.
Those little devils.
Yep. China and Japan are second and third in the shipbuilding biz as far as countries are concerned after South Korea.
Most shipyards are located on a tidal river or the ocean. It makes sense. I mean, how are they going to get it to the water? Now, there are other shipyards around the world.
Amazon.
Amazon will ship it to you. But these are the most prominent ones. Now, cruise ship that are built in Europe, which we are kind of most familiar with, are Meyer Werft in Germany, Chantier de l'Antique in France, and of course your favorite,
Fincantieri.
Yes, in Italy. And those are the ones that I think most people are familiar with.
Now, when we've seen, you know, like for example, Fincantieri,
Yeah.
It's fascinating because they build these cruise ships in blocks or sections, and then they're assembled kind of like Legos into a finished ship.
It really is amazing.
It can be fascinating to watch the process.
Oh, tell me it takes almost 4 years. They're popping those things together. Now, the average cruise cabin block manufacturer, believe it or not, can produce 12,000 cabins per year. I mean, again, they are cranking these out.
You know, and speaking about those cabins, so we just talked about the blocks and how they build the blocks and put them together. Did you know? I shouldn't say that because that's your segment. So if you haven't already seen it, check out the Did You Know link above. But the cabins are shipped separately to them in a lot of the instances, and they just slide them into place in the blocks.
It's amazing.
It's fascinating.
I want to know who came up with the design on how do we crank out cruise ships.
I know. It generally costs over $1 billion to build a mega ship.
Damn. Royal Caribbean's Oasis of the Sea is the most expensive cruise ship ever built at $1.6 billion.
Now, the Royal Princess took 3 million man-hours to build. 3 million!
That's a lot of work.
I have to emphasize that. 3 million!
Think of the jobs it's providing for everyone.
I know.
Now, cruise ship anchors can weigh more than 17 tons, okay, which is equivalent to the weight of 4 elephants.
That's a heavy girl.
I need to drop 4 elephants in the water.
Now, the average cruise ship has more than 16 miles of sprinkler piping, 6 miles of fire hoses, 5,000 sprinkler heads in most cases, 4,000 smoke detectors, 5 firefighting teams, and 500 fire extinguishers.
Well, that should make you feel confident.
It should.
It does. Now, the average cruise ship uses 1.84 gallons of fuel per second, or 6,640 gallons per hour.
Wow.
And you want to know why they're all up in everyone's grill about the cost of fuel.
Yes.
And about running a ship late and how much it costs, because it's expensive.
Well, the cruise ship's fuel efficiency is roughly 0.004 miles per gallon. So all of those that complain that they don't get 18 miles to the gallon should buy a cruise ship.
No, you won't be complaining. A large cruise ship can hold between 1 to 2 million gallons of fuel. And you wonder why fire is the biggest threat to a cruise ship.
The average horsepower of a ship is around 50,000.
Wow.
So can you imagine 50,000 horses?
I can't.
It's like a stampede.
Oh, goodness. I wouldn't want to be in that area. The world's largest cruise ship has enough electrical wiring to stretch from coast to coast in the United States. Over 3,000 miles of electrical wiring.
Ugh.
Who did all this trivia?
I don't know. I don't know. And you know, what I find fascinating is how they launch the ships. And we get this question a lot about how they do that.
Because there's two ways.
Well, one way is the mechanical launching. It's pretty straightforward. You set the ship in the water gently.
As
Right?
in, pick it up, put it in.
Put it in. This method is not without its dangers, however, as it requires a crane
Yes.
or other lifting
some
systems.
whole system. You can't just be like, yeah, Johnny, can you get some guys? We need to get that ship in the water.
Right. But it's one of the most common used methods.
Now, for the larger ships, this really isn't an option because due to the sheer size and the weight of these ships, airbags, and we've seen a lot when they've rescued ships that have somewhat sunk, they use airbags to bring them up. So I think it's kind of similar. The airbags are a safe method for launching many types and sizes of ships. Rubber air tubes are placed under the ship, which are then used to guide the ship into the water with gravity. It doesn't require a slide way or associated complexities and costs that go with it. They just pump that up, slide that in.
Now, they would think that this is done and over with, right?
Yeah, right, ship in the water.
The ship's in the water, I can get on board. But
Yeah, it's yours.
That's not true, because then there's the sea trial period. It's one of the final steps in the process of constructing and deploying a new cruise ship. These trials conducted by the ship's new captain.
Yeah.
Did you know that? New captain. Are designed to test the major systems of the vessel, often pushing the ship to its max limits of speed and steering. So,
It scares me because I have visions of Titanic, right? Where the owner of the line said, oh, come on, Captain, you can push it. I want to get to New York early. Yeah, look what happened.
But at that point, there's no passengers, so...
Right. Now, there may be 1 or 2 sea trials scheduled, each lasting between 1 and 4 days, depending on how much new technology has been included in the ship's design. The first in a new class of ships is likely to undergo longer and more rigorous sea trials than subsequent ships in that class, because they've kind of already maybe worked out the kinks.
Right. Now, successful sea trials subsequently lead to a vessel certification for commissioning and acceptance by its owner.
Right.
The cruise line takes delivery of the ship, and away we go.
That's right, and we all know what happens after that.
Mm-hmm.
The guests get to book the cruise, board the ship, and experience a fantastic time, and they are hooked forever on cruising. It checks out.
It checks out. It checks out.
And there you have it. That is how your ship is built.
And we want to thank you for joining us for this great video today. And we have a little phrase that we always use to end our videos if you're not a regular family member of Cruising with Wheels.
It's so appropriate. Remember to always travel safe
and cruise often.